My coworker tried to get me fired. So I exposed them so I, 28F, work at a mid-sized company in the tech sector. I've been here for about 3 years, and for the most part, I really enjoy it. The pay is decent, the benefits are solid, and my boss is one of those rare managers who actually listens and advocates for their team. I had no complaints until a certain coworker of mine, let's call her Ashley, 32F, decided that I was a threat. Ashley and I started off cordial. She was already with the company when I got hired, and she clearly thought of herself as a senior figure, even though we were technically on the same level. At first, I respected her. She knew a lot about the company's internal systems and seemed happy to help me learn the ropes. But I realized pretty quickly that she was the kind of person who hoards knowledge, not shares it. If I asked her about a process, she'd give me half the answer and then act annoyed when I made a mistake. Now, I don't like to stir up drama at work. My strategy has always been to quietly do my job, be kind to people, and stay out of unnecessary conflicts. But Ashley, she thrived on conflict. She loved to gossip, loved to nitpick, and especially loved when she could make herself look superior at someone else's expense. For the first year or so, I just let it slide. But then, things escalated. The first sign that she saw me as competition came during a team meeting. Our boss asked me to present a report I'd been working on, something that had taken me weeks to compile. Right as I started presenting, Ashley interrupted me with, "Oh, I actually already pulled those numbers a few days ago. Did you check them against last quarter? Because they look off to me." She hadn't pulled anything. I knew she hadn't, because I was the only one assigned to that project. But in front of everyone, she made it sound like I'd messed up. My boss asked if I could double-check, and I said I would. After the meeting, Ashley smiled and said, "Just looking out for you." That became her thing. Anytime I spoke up, she'd find a way to cut me down. If I sent an email to the team, she'd reply all, with corrections, sometimes on things that weren't even wrong. If I made a small typo, she'd screenshot it and bring it up later like it was the end of the world. It was annoying, but I figured whatever. Let her play her little games. About 6 months ago, I noticed a shift. It wasn't just her sniping at me in meetings anymore. She started spreading rumors. One day, a coworker I was friendly with pulled me aside and said, "Hey, just so you know, Ashley's been telling people you're looking for another job. Is that true?" I was floored. I wasn't looking. I hadn't even hinted at it. But apparently, Ashley had told multiple people that I was interviewing elsewhere and wasn't committed to the company. Another time, I heard from someone else that Ashley was claiming I flirted with clients to get good feedback. I was furious. Not only was it untrue, but it was also disgusting. Still, I bit my tongue. I thought, if I keep my head down and let my work speak for itself, this will blow over. But then came the final straw. One Friday afternoon, I got called into HR. They told me they had received a complaint that I'd been disrespectful to a client and misrepresenting myself as a manager. I was stunned. I asked for details. They said the client claimed I'd promised them a discount I wasn't authorized to give, then got snippy when they asked about it. Thing is, I never even spoke to that client. When I asked who had reported it, guess who? Ashley. She had apparently emailed HR pretending to be the client, complaining about me. She even attached fake screenshots of an email exchange. But she made a mistake. The client email address she used was clearly a personal Gmail, not the official domain we use for clients. HR was suspicious, and when they looked into it, they realized the account was brand new. I thought that would be the end of it. HR would see it for what it was, some bizarre, desperate attempt to sabotage me. But no. HR said, "We can't prove Ashley was behind this, but we are going to monitor the situation." That's when I decided enough was enough. If HR wasn't going to stop her, I was going to. I knew Ashley was sloppy with her lies. She liked to feel smart, but she wasn't as clever as she thought. So I started documenting everything. Every time she interrupted me in a meeting, I made a note. Every time she corrected me in an email, I saved it. Every rumor I heard, I asked coworkers to put it in writing if they could. And then I set a trap. I asked Ashley for help with a small project, something simple I could do myself. But I pretended I needed her input. I purposely made a tiny error in the draft, like formatting a date wrong. Sure enough, Ashley took the bait. The next day, I got an email from HR saying they'd received an anonymous complaint that I consistently mishandled data and wasn't detail-oriented. Attached were screenshots of the error. What Ashley didn't know was that I'd put a hidden marker in the file, a small, invisible character in the metadata that identified it as my draft, and I'd only sent it to her. I marched into HR with my stack of documentation and said, "Look, this has been going on for months. Here's proof. And here's how I know Ashley was behind the latest complaint." They investigated. It took about 2 weeks, but eventually, they called me back in. HR told me that Ashley had, in fact, been fabricating complaints against me. They'd traced the fake client email to her personal IP address. She had also been caught, badmouthing me to actual clients in an attempt to make me look incompetent. The fallout was glorious. Ashley was fired on the spot. They didn't even let her go back to her desk. Security escorted her out in front of everyone. You could have heard a pin drop in that office. People just froze, watching her walk past with nothing but her purse. The best part? Because she targeted a client interaction, the company treated it as a major ethical violation. That's basically career suicide in our industry. She didn't just lose her job, she lost her references, her credibility, and any chance of being rehired in the same field. HR didn't play around. They scrubbed her name from every client account, and even sent out a company-wide memo about maintaining professionalism. We all knew who it was about. And then something interesting happened. People who used to whisper and laugh behind my back started apologizing. I had coworkers come up and admit they'd believed Ashley's gossip. But seeing the truth laid out changed everything. Some even thanked me for keeping my head down and not stooping to her level. A few months later, my boss called me into their office. I thought it was just another check-in. But instead, they handed me a raise letter. Part of it was for my performance, sure. But my boss specifically mentioned how I handled a very difficult situation with grace. It felt like the universe had finally balanced the scales. As for Ashley, last I heard, she was working retail, completely unrelated to the career. She'd spent years trying to climb in. Every so often, I get a LinkedIn notification that she's looking for new opportunities. Honestly, it makes me laugh every time. Do I feel bad? Not even a little. She tried to ruin my career, my reputation, my livelihood. She underestimated me, thought I wouldn't fight back. But the thing about liars is that eventually, they trip over their own stories. She exposed herself. I just made sure the evidence was there when it counted. So here's the moral. Document everything. Every email, every message, every shady move. Keep receipts. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't some elaborate plan. It's just letting the truth come out. And trust me, nothing hits harder than someone sabotaging themselves while you're the one getting promoted.